Let's get started. Number 10, they talk to themselves out loud. You've probably seen someone walking down the street having a full conversation with nobody. Your first instinct is to cross the road. But here's the thing, that person might be smarter than you. Psychologists at the University of Wisconsin ran an experiment where people had to find objects in photographs, half searched in silence. The other half said the object's name out loud while searching. The talkers found things significantly faster. The reason is simple. When you verbalize something, you're running it through your brain twice. Once to think it, once to say it. That double processing locks information in place. Kids do this naturally. Watch a toddler tying their shoes. They'll narrate the whole thing. Left bunny ear, right bunny ear. They're using an ancient learning technique that adults have been shamed out of doing. Einstein reportedly talked to himself constantly. So did Tesla. They weren't losing their minds. They were enhancing them. Number 9, they stare into space doing nothing. Your coworker sits at their desk, eyes glazed over, clearly not working. You assume they're slacking off, but their brain might be solving problems yours can't even comprehend. Researchers at Georgia Institute of Technology studied people who reported frequent daydreaming. They scored higher on both intellectual and creative ability tests. Their brain systems were more efficient. This is what's happening. When you zone out, your brain enters something called the default mode network. This is when unrelated ideas start connecting. It's your creative workshop operating behind the scenes. Some of history's biggest breakthroughs happened during moments of mental wandering. Newton and the apple, Archimedes in the bathtub. These weren't accidents. These were brains given permission to wander. Number 8, they change their mind constantly. You present a compelling argument. They seem convinced. A week later, they have completely reversed their position. Flip-flopper, right? Wrong. Bertrand Russell once said the stupid are cocksure, while the intelligent are full of doubt. This isn't just philosophical musing. There's a psychological phenomenon called the Dunning-Kruger effect. People with limited expertise in an area tend to massively overestimate their own competence. Meanwhile, actual experts tend to underestimate themselves. Smart people change their minds because they're constantly absorbing new information. Every new fact gets weighed against their existing beliefs. When the evidence shifts, they shift with it. Darwin kept a notebook specifically for observations that contradicted his own theories. He knew that if he didn't actively seek contrary evidence, his brain would conveniently forget it. Changing your mind when presented with better evidence isn't weakness. It's the entire point of having a brain. Number 7, they keep asking dumb questions. They're in an important meeting. Everyone's nodding along. Then this one person raises their hand and asks something so basic it makes you cringe. Wait, can you explain what that acronym means? You assume they're not paying attention, but they might be the smartest person in the room. Socrates built his entire teaching method around asking basic questions. What do you mean by that? How do you know that's true? His approach was so effective we still use it in law schools and medical schools thousands of years later. But there's a trap. In most meetings, people stay silent when they don't understand because they're afraid of looking stupid. So everyone nods along, pretending to get it. The person willing to ask the dumb question is often the only one who leaves actually understanding. 4-year-olds ask around 300 questions per day. By adulthood, that number drops to almost nothing. We traded curiosity for the appearance of competence. That's not intelligence. That's social performance. Number 6, they leave their workspace a complete disaster. Their desk looks like a tornado made love to a filing cabinet. Papers everywhere. Coffee cups forming an archaeological dig. You assume they're disorganized and inefficient, but researchers at the University of Minnesota had people come up with creative uses for ping pong balls. Half worked in a tidy room, half worked in a messy one. Both groups came up with the same number of ideas. But yes, you guessed it. The messy room people's ideas were rated significantly more creative by independent judges. The theory goes like this. Orderly environments promote conventional thinking. Everything in its proper place means thinking inside proper boundaries. Disorder breaks those mental constraints. Einstein had a desk that looked like a paper explosion. He once asked if a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind. What does an empty desk say? Mark Twain's desk was even worse. So were Edison's and Jobs's. Being messy doesn't make you a genius. But if you're constantly being told to clean up, maybe creativity requires a little chaos. Number 5, they put things off until the last minute. The deadline is in 2 weeks. They haven't started. You're losing your mind watching them scroll through random websites. Then somehow they deliver something brilliant at the final hour. This isn't luck. It's a phenomenon called incubation. Researchers at Wharton Business School gave people creative problem-solving tasks and intentionally tempted them with distractions, funny videos, social media. People who jumped straight into the task produced less creative work. People who procrastinated massively also produced less creative work. But people who procrastinated moderately produced the most original solutions. When you learn about a task but don't immediately work on it, your subconscious keeps processing in the background. It wanders, restructures the problem, finds angles you'd never see if you started right away. People who start immediately get stuck on their first idea. They never gave their brain time to explore alternatives. The key word is moderate. Strategic procrastination gives ideas time to incubate. Excessive procrastination is just a panic attack at 2 in the morning. Number 4, they stay up way too late. It's 2 in the morning. Normal people are asleep. They're wide awake, deep in thought. You assume their sleep schedule is a disaster. But a study from Imperial College London analyzed over 26,000 people. Night owls scored about 13% higher on cognitive tests than morning people. Memory, reasoning, processing speed, all better. Evolutionary psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa has a theory. Throughout most of human history, staying up late was dangerous. Predators hunted at night. Being nocturnal goes against millions of years of programming. His research suggests that more intelligent individuals are more likely to adopt behaviors that break from ancestral patterns. They're essentially overriding their biological programming because their brains can handle it. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to stay up late will make you smarter. But if you naturally feel more alert at midnight than at noon, your brain might just be wired differently. Number 3, they stay silent in arguments they could easily win. They clearly know more about the topic. They have facts, evidence, logic on their side, but instead of destroying their opponent, they just shrug and let it go. Smart people have learned something through painful experience. Winning an argument rarely changes anyone's mind. It just makes them defensive. There's a psychological concept called the backfire effect. When people are confronted with evidence that contradicts their beliefs, they often double down instead of updating them. Arguing doesn't educate, it entrenches. Smart people ask themselves 3 questions. Will this person actually change their mind? Does this argument matter? Is this worth the energy? Most of the time the answer to all 3 is no, so they stay quiet, not because they can't argue, but because they've evolved past the need to win every intellectual skirmish. Number 2, they spend way too much time alone. Friday night, everyone's out socializing. They're at home, again, reading, thinking, working on something nobody else cares about. But a study from the British Journal of Psychology found that highly intelligent individuals experience lower life satisfaction with more frequent social interaction. The smarter someone is, the less happiness they get from constant socializing. For most people, social interaction is energizing. For highly intelligent people, it can be cognitively draining. Their minds are already running at high capacity. Adding social demands creates overload. Solitude becomes a creative workshop. Without constant input from other people's ideas, original thoughts finally have room to breathe. Picasso said, "Without great solitude, no serious work is possible." This doesn't mean smart people hate people. They just don't feel the need to fill every moment with social activity. Number 1, they freely admit when they don't know something. Ask them a question. Instead of bluffing their way through an answer like everyone else, they just say 3 devastating words. I don't know. You might assume this means they're less informed, but research on intellectual humility reveals the opposite. People who regularly acknowledge their knowledge gaps actually accumulate more knowledge over time. They pay closer attention, seek information more diligently, weigh evidence more carefully. Think about it. When you pretend to know everything, you stop learning. Every new piece of information becomes a threat to your identity. You dismiss contradictory evidence, ignore feedback, stop asking questions. When you freely admit what you don't know, every gap becomes an opportunity. Every question becomes acceptable. Every correction becomes welcome. Studies found that people with high intellectual humility make more accurate predictions and are more adaptable in changing environments. They're not smarter because they know more. They're smarter because they never stop acquiring new information. Meanwhile, everyone else is too busy performing expertise they don't have. The willingness to say 3 simple words that most people's egos won't allow. That's the single biggest tell of genuine intelligence. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.